Welcome to Donc Voilà Quoi, the podcast where history, culture, and activism collide. I'm your host, Jessie Louise, writer, speaker, and relentless questioner of the status quo. Here we dig deep into the stories that shape our world, connecting the past to the present and challenging dominant narratives. From historical deep dives and cultural critiques, this is a space for critical thinking and meaningful conversations. So if you're ready to explore the overlooked, the forgotten, and the truths hidden in plain sight, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Bonnie Blue, a woman who slept with 1,057 men in a single day. It sounds impressive, grotesque, fascinating, depending on who you ask. When the Channel 4 documentary aired, people couldn't look away. Clips flooded TikTok. Headlines dissected it. Debates raged. Some called her liberated. Others called her lost. But what struck me wasn't the act itself. It was what the whole spectacle revealed about us. Because Bonnie Blue isn't really the story, she's the mirror. Her stunt, this mechanical marathon display of sex, was never about intimacy or pleasure or even rebellion. It was about production, about numbers, and about how far the human body can go when you strip away everything but output. She broke no law, offended no god, and yet she managed to embody something even bigger than scandal. She embodied capitalism's deepest fantasy: infinite productivity. 1,000 men in 12 hours. That's not sex. That's industry. And when you think about it that way, the shock starts to shift. You realize that what we're watching isn't deviance. It's the purest expression of a system that worships performance and profit. A system that teaches us to turn even our most private selves into products. So today we're not here to moralize or sensationalize. We're here to understand what this says about the world we live in. A world where every body can be branded, every act can be sold, and every so-called rebellion can be monetized. This is the capitalist reality behind Bonnie Blue. There's a moment in the documentary, if you've seen it, you'll know exactly what I mean, where the absurdity of the whole thing hits you. The logistics, the wristbands, the sanitizer stations, the conveyor belt precision. One man leaves, the next one steps forward. Repeat, repeat, repeat. It's not erotic. It's industrial. It's Fordism with more lube. You start to realize that Bonnie Blue's 1,000 men event isn't an act of passion. It's an assembly line, a kind of capitalist theatre where the body becomes the machine and the metric is the only thing that matters. And that's when it clicks. We've seen this before. Not in porn, in business. It's the same logic that drives every productivity guru, every startup founder, every influencer telling you to monetize your passion. Work harder, produce more, never stop. Hustle until you break, and then hustle harder. Bonnie Blue is just playing the same game, only her product happens to be her body. We call it content, but what it really is production. A daily performance of labor and self-management. Her achievement, sleeping with 1,000 men in 12 hours, might sound extreme, but it follows the exact same capitalist equation. More equals better. Quantity equals value. Numbers equal worth. She isn't rebelling against the system. She's embodying it. Think about how the stunt was measured. Not by her experience, not by her pleasure, not even by whether it was possible. It was measured in numbers. 1,000 men, 12 hours, 2 minutes each. There's something disturbingly familiar about that precision, the fetish of metrics, of quantifying everything that should be unquantifiable. Capitalism doesn't just want productivity. It wants the pornography of productivity, the spectacle of endless output. The numbers themselves become erotic. We watch them the same way we watch money tick up on a screen or followers rise on a counter. The number becomes the point. And that's why the media loved her story, because Bonnie Blue was doing, quite literally, what capitalism asks of us all: to turn life itself into performance, to convert existence into metrics, and to make sure someone, somewhere, is profiting from it. When you look at it that way, the stunt stops being shocking and starts being logical. She's the perfect capitalist subject, self-managed, self-exploiting, infinitely marketable. And maybe that's the part that really unsettles us. Not what she did, but how much it looks like what we're all doing. If you scroll through the comments online about Bonnie Blue, you'll notice something strange. People can't seem to agree on whether she's a symbol of female liberation or proof that feminism has gone off the rails. Some say she's owning her body, she's free, she's making money. That's empowerment. Others say she's degrading herself for attention. But both of those positions miss the point, because they still accept the same basic rule that a woman's worth is measured by how well she performs value in a capitalist system. Bonnie Blue's story is constantly framed as choice, that she chose to do it, that it was her decision, her body, her rules. But choice in this context is slippery, because what looks like freedom often masks pressure. Pressure to perform, pressure to stay relevant, the pressure to monetize every part of yourself before someone else does it for you. Capitalism loves the word choice. It gives everything a moral gloss, like the market is just a playground of free will. But choice without context isn't freedom, it's marketing. And Bonnie Blue is the perfect advertisement. A woman who's taken the logic of self-ownership to its extreme conclusion. She's the girl boss of the flesh economy, a kind of neoliberal fantasy in human form, independent, ambitious, and infinitely reproducible. The idea that empowerment equals profit, that autonomy equals visibility, and that liberation equals brand. It's seductive, isn't it? Because it looks like progress. It sounds like freedom. And maybe for a moment, it even feels like it. But the truth is, empowerment inside capitalism is still capitalism. It's still the same system of extraction and exhaustion. It's just wearing a glittery feminist slogan this time. When we tell women that power means selling themselves efficiently, we're not freeing them. We're teaching them to become better products. Bonnie Blue isn't just breaking out of that system. She's proof of how well it works, how completely it's managed to make even rebellion profitable. So when people say she's empowered, maybe what they mean is she's efficient. She knows how to turn shock into sales, outrage into engagement, attention into income. That's not revolution. That's just good business. Let's be honest. Bonnie Blue didn't do this alone. She didn't just wake up one morning and decide to sleep with 1,000 men for fun. She did it because there's an audience for it, a market, a machine that runs on clicks, comments, outrage, and fascination, and we're part of it. We are the silent investors in her spectacle. Every article shared, every reaction video, every moral debate on Twitter, it all feeds the same economy. Even disgust is a kind of engagement. In fact, outrage might just be the most profitable emotion of all. It keeps us scrolling, arguing, posting, and every one of those actions has value in the attention marketplace. That's the trick of capitalism. It doesn't care what side you're on, as long as you're participating. The Bonnie Blue story works because it satisfies both sides of cultural appetite, the voyeurism and the virtue. We get to watch and judge at the same time. We condemn her and consume her in the same breath. That's the perfect transaction, guilt-free exploitation. And this is why she's not an outlier. She's an evolution. Bonnie Blue is what happens when the porn industry merges with the influencer economy, when sex becomes content, content becomes life. She's producing exactly what the market wants: visibility, controversy, emotional reaction. The product isn't even sex anymore. It's engagement. But here's the thing that's easy to forget. Bonnie's value exists because we keep looking. Because someone, somewhere, decided that shock sells better than sincerity, that controversy travels faster than compassion, and that virality is more important than truth. We've made this world together, one click, one share, one algorithm at a time. And that's where the story stops being about Bonnie and starts being about us. Because if her stunt was the supply, then we are the demand. We created the conditions that made her possible. The attention economy isn't a backdrop. It's the stage, the camera, and the audience all rolled into one. So maybe what disturbs us about Bonnie Blue isn't what she did, but the fact that we recognize the same logic in ourselves, that hunger to be seen, to perform, to matter in the metrics. Maybe she's not the extreme. Maybe she's the mirror. Bonnie Blue's story ends where all capitalist fairy tales do, with the illusion of freedom. Because on paper, she's free. She works for herself, she makes her own money, controls her image, and answers to no one. But that's the neatest trick of all. The system works best when it convinces you that you're the one in charge. Bonnie's autonomy is the kind capitalism loves, not the freedom to rest, or to stop, or to exist outside of the market, but the freedom to sell yourself without limits. It's the freedom to produce, to monetize, to perform, to stay endlessly visible, endlessly desirable, endlessly new. And isn't that exactly what the rest of us are told to do, in our own smaller ways? Be your own brand, sell your skills, promote your life, curate your authenticity. The difference is that Bonnie Blue just did it more literally. She turned herself into a business model, and the public can't decide whether to applaud her or crucify her for it. But that's the truth sitting underneath her story. She didn't break the system. She proved how perfectly it functions, how rebellion itself can be packaged, branded, and sold back to us as entertainment. The more outrageous the rebellion, the more profitable it becomes. Because capitalism doesn't care whether you're pure or profane, victim or victor, feminist or fetish. It just cares that you're producing, that you're visible, that you're worth talking about. And the moment you stop, the moment you're no longer profitable, the machine simply moves on to the next Bonnie Blue. So maybe the question isn't, is Bonnie Blue empowered? Maybe the question is, what kind of world forces women to sell empowerment just to survive in it? Her story isn't the fall of feminism. It's proof of its capture. We used to fight for freedom from systems that reduced us to our bodies. Now we're told that true freedom is knowing how to sell those bodies ourselves, with better lighting, better marketing, and better returns. Bonnie Blue is what happens when capitalism finally finds a way to eroticize its own reflection. She's not a glitch in the system. She's the upgrade. And that's what's really shocking. Not that she did it, but that we all understand why she did. Because in a world that teaches you your value lies in your visibility, who among us isn't performing? Just a little. Who among us isn't selling something, even if it's just the illusion of control? And maybe that's the real truth behind Bonnie Blue, that she isn't a cautionary tale, or a villain, or a hero. She's a mirror held up to the world that turns even resistance into revenue. A world that asks women to sell their rebellion, men to buy their validation, and all of us to call it freedom. So before we judge her, maybe we should ask ourselves, how much of what we call empowerment is just another marketing plan? How much of what we call choice is the only choice the system left us? Because Bonnie Blue didn't invent this world. She just learned how to survive in it. And in doing so, she made visible what most of us spend our whole lives trying not to see. That brings us to the end of this episode of Donc Voilà Quoi. Today we've explored how Bonnie Blue didn't just break the system. she became its most hypnotic illusion. She showed us that capitalism adapts, absorbs rebellion, sells dissent, and lights it up. But the power of her image lies not in what she did, but in how easily we consumed her story. And that is the deeper truth of Bonnie Blue. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to dive deeper into the full article on this topic, available now on my website, Donc Voilà Quoi. There you'll also find my latest works, including book and film reviews, documentary recommendations, and thought-provoking essays that challenge conventional narratives and explore the complexities of our world. To continue the conversation, be sure to follow me on social media at Jessie Louise Vernon, where I share insights, updates, and engage with listeners like you. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and share it. Your support helps spread the discussion and keeps independent thought alive. And of course, I'll be back with another episode of Donc Voilà Quoi, where we'll dive into yet another fascinating topic. Until then, keep your eyes on the website, stay curious, and as always, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep resisting the forces that seek to rewrite history. If you'd like to reach out, you can connect with me on social media or via my website. I always love hearing from you. Until next time, take care, and remember, a woman's place is in the resistance.
The red sun rose this morning. Dark skies pronounce your warning. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Hold on, the floor is caving. Your walls turn into cages. Your refuge will be your demise. Dances with the devil. Your power isn't special. We don't fit on your canvas. We burn it all to ashes now. 'Cause we are the outlaws.